presents the National Hockey. HCS presents the National Hockey League this afternoon. We are live from the Raleigh Entertainment and Sports Arena for a featured matchup with the Carolina Hurricanes and the Washington Capitals. A very pleasant good afternoon to you alongside Craig Laughlin. I'm Joe Beninati. Craig, with each passing game, I learn more and more. I become more intrigued about Chris Simon. I mean, he is putting up some numbers right now, real power forward numbers that few in the NHL can match.
Yeah, big time 20 goals scored plus a lot of PIMs, and that all adds up to a force on the ice. Simon right now, Joe, 5 goals in his last 5 games. He reached the 20-goal plateau. We're going to look at his last 2 goals here against Chicago. Nice move down low by Peter Bondra. He's going to cycle the puck down deep. Early on in the game, Simon's to Oates, and look at how he gets himself available. When you get into the seams, you make yourself available. Adam Oates will find you. Here against his Flyers, he hammers home his 20th goal in the season. Talk about good company, Joe. He's only one of 2 players in the NHL with 20 goals and over 90 PIMs. The other guy, Owen Nolan, who's a power forward in San Jose. Right now, Simon cruising along with 20 goals. Look for him to hit the 30-goal plateau this season.
A healthy Simon. He's been one of the underlying reasons why Washington has enjoyed such an improvement this year. I mean, let your mind wander back to last season. It's been quite a change.
It really has, Joe. Obviously, injuries played a factor last year, but this year it's been so much better, and some critical goals and buzzer beaters have helped them stake themselves to a 9-game above 500 play. They're against Colorado. Great pass, Gonchar to Adam Oates. Patrick Waugh can't believe it. Check out these stats compared to last season through 58 games. 5 more wins this year, 15 more points, 12 more goals for, 9 goals against less. Because of that, Joe, those type of totals equal a much better season. Help the factor, but when you have score more goals and allow less, you're going to be in pretty good shape.
Craig, for the Carolina Hurricanes, the 99-2000 season hasn't been as kind, and you just look at the differences between these 2 squads, and the Southeast Division champs, they know they're going to be in for a real tussle to make the playoffs. If they're going to do it, Artur Zerbe has to turn back the clock.
Well, anytime the word playoffs is mentioned, you talk about the guy between the pipes. And Artur Zerbe has not been himself that he was last season. Here against the Capitals last meeting, a little shot towards the net. Zerbe thought he should have had it. It goes in. That puts the Caps to victory. When you compare his numbers the last 2 seasons, last year 27 wins overall. This season, 1 game above 500. But the big discrepancy in my book comes in save percentage. That's what I look for goaltenders. Last year he finished at .923. Right now operating at .902. Those type of numbers are not going to help this team get into the playoffs. He's going to have to stand on his head, and if he does, they barely may get in.
As the Caps go gunning for Zerbe today, they do so with the hopes of putting the Hurricanes 12 points behind them in the Southeast Division standings. Just prior to game time, we got Ron Wilson's comments on facing an eager division foe in this divisional dance in Carolina.
Well, I think we're playing a wounded animal today, and they're very dangerous. They've got a couple people who are going to be out, important players, but they base their whole game on defense just as we do. They've got great goaltending, a pretty solid defense, just like we do, and I think that's why you've seen the games be so close in the past.
It's a marquee matchup, a matinee affair. In Raleigh today, we've got the opening face-off coming up for you in just a few moments here on HTS. HTS's coverage of Caps hockey this afternoon is being brought to you by Geico. Geico Direct, the sensible alternative. By Vario, the leading provider of internet solutions that help growing companies successfully compete in the new world of business. Visit www.vario.com for more details. By Iceland Air, with daily services from BWI Airport to over 20 European cities. Iceland Air, discover our world. And by Bell Atlantic, your guide through the wilds of communication. Far from the Oval Office on this President's Day are the Caps. But earlier this year back in D.C., Richard Zednik gave Artur Zerbe a taste of the Rockets' red glare. What's on the menu this afternoon? Find out next on HTS.
For your next real estate settlement or refinance, choose Classic Settlements, ranked #1 settlement company in the Washington metro area. Always a celebration. There is a difference. Experience the classic difference.
Bob Bell Chevrolet has the lowest prices in Baltimore. And to prove it, bring me any advertised price. If I can't beat the price, I'll give you the car or truck free. That's right, free. I'm Bob Bell, and I guarantee it.
Eastern Avenue across East Point Mall and Business Route 1, Bel Air.
It's here, the hot new Rebel 2000. Rev it up. Score, new ball. Let Cannon ignite your creativity. Quotation Agassi. Soar past simple snapshots and roar into photography. 3, 2, 1, go! Agassi, game ready. The new Rebel 2000 from Canon.
Hiya, Joan. Looks like snow.
Really?
People think the snowiest U.S. city is in Alaska. Like many people think Mercedes-Benz are not ideal for winter driving. But the C230 compressor with standard traction control is great for all types of weather. In Chicago, Denver, Boston, or Rochester, the actual snowiest large city in the U.S.
Washington and Carolina today in the Southeast Division. This matchup coming your way on HCS. Joe Beninati and Craig Laughlin with you this afternoon. The on-ice officials, the referee, Daniel Maruelli, along with Brian Murphy, Gord Brassiker, and Pat DiPuzzo will work the lines. Jan Bulis to take the opening draw for Washington, lined up opposite Rod Brindamore, late of the Philadelphia Flyer organization. Brindamore and the Hurricanes need this one badly. So does Washington as they try to keep pace with the Philadelphia Flyers, who opened up a 4-point cushion in the race for 4th in the East.
And also try to catch Toronto, Joe. They could catch Toronto because Toronto's on a big-time slide. Just 3 wins in their last 10.
A lot of shuffling that can go on in the final 7 weeks of the NHL's regular season. Away come the Hurricanes. Nolan Pratt to the send-out for Brindamore. Brindamore's pass behind Kovalenko. Gathered in by Riki. Joe Riki will have to turn tail to reset things with Sergei Gonchar, the high-scoring Washington defender. Zednik bumps it along. Bulis darting wide on Pratt. Nolan Pratt canceling Bulis back behind the cage. At a point position, Johansson fires. Good pad save, and the rebound is also stopped as Richard Zednik was robbed point blank by Artur Zerbe.
Armed robbery by the goaltender for Carolina early on this afternoon. Must have put in an early wake-up call because he looks splendid here. Couple of great stops. And I thought that, Joe, I think the D are going to have to play a big part for the Caps this afternoon. There's the shot from Kallio. Big, juicy rebound comes right out to Richard Zednik. And Irbe makes a great stop. He's down on his knees. Zednik tried to get it up, couldn't, shaking his head as he missed that chance to get the Caps a 1-0 lead.
A lot of traffic in front of Irbe there. Tough for Zednik to find anything other ways than Irbe's body. Tough to find the corner with so many people standing in front of the net. 2 testing drives for Washington before the game is 1 minute old. Halko bumps it along. O'Neill sends it as far as the Washington line where Calle Johansson was patrolling. Coffey taps it. Oates lost the handle, and the Hurricanes, wearing their home whites, will stride back with O'Neill rolling one softly to Kolzig's doorstep. Witt taps it to Chris Simon. Simon challenged by O'Neill. O'Neill, Jelena, and Francis for the moment for head coach Paul Maurice. Bondra, Simon, and Oates out there for Washington. Jelena, fancy moves, a backhand by Francis, just missed. At a point position, it's Coffey. Rink wide for Halko, and he'll be forced to give up the line. O'Neill will send it in as we move past 90 seconds played in this first period. No score between Washington and Carolina. Terry Yates softly back into the Hurricane zone. Washington playing this afternoon without the rookie Jeff Halpern, bothered by back spasms. Did not make the trip to Raleigh today. Tommy Westland lost his balance, but while on his stomach is able to swat it back to center. A regrouping Joe Murphy. Hit hard in open ice there by Shane Willis.
Yeah, Shane Willis just called up because of Kapanen's shoulder being injured. Kapanen only played a couple of minutes in their last game, a victory over Tampa Bay, Joe, Saturday night. And because of that, Willis, who's a gunner in his own right, playing down in the minors, both at the American League level and the IHL this year, where he has 27 goals. They'd like to get a couple from him this afternoon.
Off of Karam, Joe Sacco's got a step and a one-on-one chance. Backhands one right on. A good stick save by Irbe as Nolan Pratt stayed with the speedy Sacco. At center, it is Manderville to skip it to the far corner. Colvin caps it. Ranheim is right in Riki's face. Manderville's pass spun Daniels around. He actually stepped on the puck, and that will start a Washington Caps 3-on-3. Gonshaw, wrister, easy pickings for Irbe. Well done to direct the rebound to the corner. Nikolitin back in the lineup after missing the last 2 games as a healthy scratch. Force feeds the front. Sean Hill sends it the length. Gonchar will touch it, and this is icing against the Canes.
Well, this has turned into a real nice rivalry as Gonchar looks on, Joe. Sergei Gonchar, when we look at our Coleman keys to the game this afternoon for the Caps, go with the flow, and I'm talking defense, jumping up and helping the forwards, sprint out of the blocks. Good start so far. Slow start against Flyers cost them. For the Hurricanes, they've got to break the capital cycle. First man must make contact and pin, and lunch pail pals. Both these teams grind it out. Talking to Paul Maurice, he said we have to have the same work ethic this afternoon as the Washington Capitals possess.
Those keys to the game brought to you by Coleman Toyota, located on Auto Park Ave next to Montgomery Mall in Bethesda. At center, it's Marek Malik for the Hurricanes. Bounces one to the end boards. Brindamore first to it. The slap for Kovalenko's drive, and that struck Robert Kron, who's camped out in the slot. Bulis sends away Dahlin. Dahlin delaying on Karpa. Karpa forces him off the angle. Dahlin still with a puck, tucked to the front. Kept alive by Brendan Witt offensively for Washington. 3.5 minutes into a scoreless first period. Behind the goal, it is Dahlin. Marked by Karpa once more, and the Canes are able to clear. Gonchar working with Witt for the moment. Brendan Witt picking up Richard Zednik. A one-handed pass is right on the target for Jan Bulis. Returns it to Zednik and fires, and Irbe got just a little sliver of that on the way by. O'Neill for Halko. Nice breakout to the captain, Francis. Wide to Jelena. Jelena still has good speed now in his 11th full season as a pro. Work over there by Calle Johansson. Washington has the game's first 4 shots on goal in this 0-0 draw. 15:38 to play in period 1. O'Neill turns wide on Mironov to the front. It's deflected on through. Jelena. Coffey fires from the point position and past the screen. Kolzig and wide. Bondra off to Johansson. Calle will settle it down and play it back behind the Carolina net. Adam Oates retreats into the Washington zone. The Hurricanes will make a line change. Bondra on the tap pass. A poor one. Oates soccer styles it out to Simon. Chris Simon, Washington's top goal getter, off to the leading assist man, Oates. Oates lost it in transition. Battaglia, who does some of his best work against Washington, roars back in, 3-on-3. Westland back behind the cage to Battaglia. Westland fanned on a wrister. A nice level look at Peter Bondra bracing himself for a hit. Flipping it back to neutral. Sean Hill. Right to Ken Klee's chest. Klee will roll it all the way back into the Carolina zone. And that is icing against Washington.
We got a good goaltender matchup this afternoon here on HDS, Joe. For the Washington Capitals, Kolzig back in the twine. Impressive numbers. His last 23 starts, 1.80 goals against average and just 3 losses. And for the Hurricanes, Artur Zerbe gets the nod. 1 game over 500 with 22 wins. Save percentage 9-0-2 since the All-Star break. Back to his old self, 4-1-0.
Artur Zerbe last year 6 shutouts to set a single-season record for the Carolina Hurricanes. He had finished up, I believe it was with 27 wins, just 3 shy of his career single-year best. But inconsistency has befuddled him this season. They're going to need him to get awfully hot down the stretch. He's been good so far today as he has stared down 5 Caps shots and handled all 5 without a flaw. Joe Murphy for Washington, dueling with Nolan Pratt. Murphy, Yank, and Konowalchuk assembled for the Caps. Sean Hill rolls it around the corner curve. Ranheim did not get it clear. Konowalchuk knocks down rudely by Hill. Manderville overskates. Murphy tangled up there with Daniels, and it will be Pratt to tumble it back to center.
This has been a very busy building the last several days. The Backstreet Boys, another concert, basketball yesterday, Joe. Because of that, we see a lot of guys blowing their wheels so far. The ice very chippy, and you can easily lose an edge. We've seen evidence of that early on here in the first period.
No truth to the rumor that you were front row for Leonard Skinner last night?
No, I would have liked to have been. I like Leonard Skinner. Freebird, right?
Could see you there doing the ZZ Top warm-up act.
Oh, yeah. Sunglass song. That's my favorite.
Growing a
cheap sunglasses and a little ZZ Top for that, and then Leonard Skinner Freebird. You can't beat that.
Growing a beard overnight, you'd fit right in. Karpa to Malik. Out comes Brindamore. Now I know why you didn't want to travel with us last night. Kovalenko will send it softly into the Washington zone as Johansson races back to get it. Robert Cron comes to greet him. Sacco, an indirect on through Nikolic. Marek Malik, towering defenseman for the Hurricanes. To Brindamore. Kovalenko delaying at the line, and Calle Johansson was right there in his path.
And delaying at the line because Kovalenko didn't move his feet. He was caught in trouble there. His skates in quicksand. If you don't move, you're going to get poke checked. That was his problem outside the blue line.
Nikolic working with Zednik. A pass too strong. Urbe will tee it up to a turning Halko. And Marek Malik will shuffle it back ahead. Pickpocketed by Bulis. Bulis from the angle, deep slot Zednik, and he was defended well by Francis.
Well, that's why there's been a lot of news here thinking they're going after another defenseman, Joe.
Chelena closing. Wrist shot blocked off by Dmitry Mironov. Right now, the Hurricanes have some injury problems back there. Deep slot once again for Francis. Didn't get it on the net. Coffey trying to do that. Deflection score! Inside, it looked like Ron Francis.
Well, two future Hall of Famers, Paul Coffey and Ronnie Franchise, hook up here. And Francis, about a foot off the right post of Kolzig, is going to put this in. The key play there, Joe, is the shot from Paul Coffey. Just skims it about 6 inches off the ice, and it's able to be deflected. There's the shot, and you'll see Francis just get a hunk of it as Kenny Clee tries to take away his lumber. He gets a piece of it. Francis has given the Canes here this afternoon a 1-0 lead.
15 goals for Francis in 70 career matchups against the Washington Capitals. He's burned them in the past with plenty of assists. There he tallies on the score sheet with a goal of his own at 7:43. We get an offsides, and then we get some words with Chris Simon and a crowd gathering on the far dash here. And exactly 8 minutes into period one, Carolina has the lead by 1. Stick around.
Who's having the largest Washington's birthday sale in town? Marlowe Furniture. With more furniture than anyone else. With better prices than everyone else. And with 1 year free financing too. Free, as in no down payment, no monthly payments, and no interest charges for 1 full year. With over 280,000 square feet of showroom space, no one can throw a furniture party like Marlowe. Come celebrate.
Marlowe, we've got your style.
Right now, during the Ford President's Day sales event, get spectacular savings on new Ford cars, trucks, SUVs, and minivans. Now is the time to buy. With low financing, like low 0.9%, or big cash back as high as $1,500. All around, the President's Day sales event at your local Ford dealer is like nothing you've ever seen.
Punch! Punch! Knee! 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 Jab! Kick! Jab! Kick! Punch! 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 Go! 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 Knee! Knee! In!
Subway has 7 fresh value meals with just 8 grams of fat or less, while a Big Mac Extra Value meal has 58. Subway, the way a sandwich should be.
Chew! Chew! Chew!
Season series and 3 prior get-togethers between these two is even at 1-1-1 as Simon blisters a wrist shot over Urbe's shoulder. Scoreboard no longer even today. 1-0 for the hosts. The Carolina Hurricanes. Ron Francis is 18th from Paul Coffey and Jeff O'Neill at 7:43. O'Neill, who has 4 points in the 4 games against Washington this season, drops it back to the Caps blue line. Oates surveys, hands it right to his opposite captain, Ron Francis. Willis striding after Riki. Pinches him to the end wall. Sergei Gonchar will swivel out with Adam Oates' help. At center, it's Gonchar. Worked over by Willis. Irbe will slow it down, and Pratt will swing. Pressured immediately by Bondra. Washington in the middle of a line change. Easy exit for Carolina. Westland wrist shot, pad save, pulls it. Willis then came a running, knocked down with Steve Konowalchuk.
Yeah, the Carolina Hurricanes have come out bashing. This has been a nasty series, Joe. There's been a lot of trash talk, increased hitting, cheap shots, pushing, shoving, all that stuff. I think you can link it back to when they played in the exhibition game. There was some real feistiness shown in that exhibition game. And I think if I remember back, Simon caught Kapanen with a high stick in that game.
Offsides at the line as Ranheim was roaring in. And again, we will get a little exchange of pleasantries back behind Kolzig's net, but nothing major. Washington trailing by 1, 9 minutes and 21 seconds gone by in our first period, and there's the goal getter.
Nice play by Ron Francis, Joe. Great deflection. Look at this coming right at you. It's going wide by 3 feet. And there's Francis, the NHL veteran, popping home his 18th of the year from Paul Coffey and O'Neill. Great deflection. He's now got 49 points. All of last year he had 52, so he's easily going to surpass that this season. Much better year for Ron Francis here in Carolina.
And over what has been a glowing 19-year career, better than 1,500 points for Ron Francis. Klee and Mironov in back. McKenzie, Nikolition, and Sacco across the top. Marek Malik didn't have an opening to make that outlet pass. Sent it all the way. Icing is washed out. At center, it is Andrei Nikolition. Working against Malik. Waiting for help. It comes from Mironov and McKenzie. Karpa has McKenzie to the end boards. 2 tough customers there. No strangers to the penalty bench. Nikolition off the cycle. Mironov into the shooting channel. Fires! Stopped by Irbe. Rebound. McKenzie there. Deking Irbe down. Tries a centering feed. But Mironov's wrister was partially blocked. And a delayed penalty is now whistled by Dan Maruelli. We will return to Raleigh in just a few moments today for a Washington Capitol power play. Looking for the equalizer in this one.
One is truly wise, who has traveled far and knows the ways of the world.
Fly with the people who discovered America. Icelandair, the cool airline crossing the Atlantic.
It's here, the hot new Rebel 2000. Rev it up. Score, new ball. Let cannon ignite your creativity. Rotation, Agassi. Soar past simple snapshots. And roar into photography. 3, 2, 1, go! Agassi, game ready. The new Rebel 2000 from Canon.
At the Big Screen Store, we'll turn any room into a great home theater. We're the area's only exclusive Mitsubishi Big Screen Store with your choice of surround sound systems and customized entertainment centers for that built-in look. Best of all, they're all in stock with 1 year same-as-cash financing. So why wait? Go ahead. Do the room at the Big Screen Store. At the Big Screen Store, let's do the
Afternoon matinee here on HDS Caps Canes. Here's a good play by McKenzie. I thought he could have wrapped it around there, Joe, but the Caps will get a penalty out of this. Marek Malik off for holding the stick of that man right there, Andrei Nikolition. The Caps go to the power play, looking to tie it up after the Francis goal that's given the Canes a 1-0 lead.
This is a Carolina team that gets a gold star for good behavior. They are number 1 in terms of the fewest penalty minutes in the NHL in terms of penalty minutes per game. But they're shorthanded here. Washington has the power play working. Gonchar Walks the line. Fires. That was deflected in front and hit to Sean Hill. Bondra to Oates. Gonchar. Johansson working the points. Oates finding Bondra, and he'll tap it right back to the Caps conductor. Surveyed by Hill. Washington in that umbrella setup. Gonchar and Oates playing catch. Watched carefully by Daniels. Oates, very deliberate. Gonchar's one-timer, stick save Irbe. He saw it all the way, and the rebound winds up in the end zone seat.
And that's been one of the reasons the games have had great success. Irbe's been able to see the puck on home ice. This penalty-killing unit operating at over 90%, Joe. And on the year against Wilson's club today, they've only allowed 9 goals against here on home ice. Here's that last power play by the Caps. And notice that no one's in front when Gonchar gets the puck. Simon's looking for a seam. Here comes Gonchar playing catch with Oates, and he's finally going to tee it up after 3 and 4 passes. The Canes doing a nice job keeping everything to the outside. There they box out Simon, and that's a great goaltending play by Irbe. That on purpose deflected up and over the glass to take off some of the heat.
Little more than a minute to go in this shorthanded situation for Carolina, and the Canes will send Washington packing into their own zone. More than halfway through this first period. If you're just tuning in, Joe Beninati, Craig Laughlin with you on HTS. 1-0 for the Hurricanes. Ron Francis on the board at even strength at 7:43. Bondra, pedal to the metal, back behind the cage to Oates. Oates and Bondra in tight quarters. It pops loose, and Tommy Westlin will roll it all the way. Caps getting fresh troops on as Gonchar lopes back to get it. Sergei Gonchar sends out Ulf Dahlin. Dahlin whacked by Westlin. From one Swede to another. Zednik around the corner curve to Bulis. Bulis escapes Manderville. Zednik pirouettes loose from Pratt. Richard Zednik knocked down to the ice surface. Mironov turns it back for Bulis. 15 seconds in the power play. Caps down by 1. Mironov dancing with it at the attack line. Zednik now rifles one, blocked by the boot of Hill, and spun out of there by the defensive Pratt.
A good opportunity there to see on that penalty-killing unit how they rotate the diamond. They rotated the diamond. At one point, they had Pratt, the defenseman, at the half wall, Joe. That's great pressure coming at the half wall to put pressure against the Caps power play. They're going to like that last penalty kill.
That's a good point, Mark. Way to go. O'Neill clears back to center. Washington is now 0 for 10 in 4 games this season on the power play against Carolina. 0 for 3 in each of the first 3 outings. Kolzig wisely getting out there to pounce as Jelena was giving Ken Klee fits after a loose puck. Washington doubling up Carolina in shots thanks to that most recent power play advantage, 8-4, but it is Martin Jelena's squad that has the lead.
And there's been a lot of rumors swirling around about Jelena possibly heading to Montreal for the skiing Vladimir Malakoff. He was supposed to be hurt. He was caught skiing over the All-Star break, Joe. Now every time he goes on the ice at Center Molson, big-time boo birds. A lot of rumors, and that could be one area he could be heading to.
Carolina today playing without Glenn Wesley, one of their top rear guards who's missing with an eye injury. Also without Gary Roberts, Curtis Lecision, another regular on the defense. And perhaps most importantly, Sammy Kapanen, who's out with a shoulder injury. Konowalchuk's shot knocked down by Karpa as Battaglia spills it back out to center. Johansson stepped in to keep it alive as the officials wash out the offsides. Brendan Witt's got to retreat into the Washington zone. Over the head of Murphy, Malik will work with Karpa. Karpa, who played under Ron Wilson's direction in Anaheim, and if memory serves, had a couple of seasons better than 200 penalty minutes for the Ducks that time.
Absolutely, had 3 in a row, 270, 210, and 217. But he was sent to the minors because he wasn't playing physical early on. He's returned and played pretty well.
Little give and go for O'Neill, and his wrist shot didn't get through traffic. It is 1-0 Carolina, 6 minutes, 24 seconds to go, opening frame. Brendan Witt, hog-tying Francis, still finds Pratt. Wrist shot deflection, and Kolzig hangs in there well with that one on a change of pace off of Jelena's stick.
Well, we've talked about the injuries Carolina Hurricanes have, Joe. Here's a real close look at them. Brought to you by NovaCare. Glenn Wesley with that eye injury he received against Montreal. Curtis Lecision out with the groin. Gary Roberts, the groin about a week away. Sammy Kapanen, he could be back, Joe, the next time they play. Shoulders still sore, and Paul Maurice wanted to give him one extra day off because he knows the Caps are a very physical team.
Ole Kolzig's team is down by 1, and here he makes a good stop to prevent that lead from growing.
And you can see this afternoon, the one plan that they have is to crowd Ole Kolzig. Their one goal came on a deflection, and here when Pratt gets it, you can see them stifling, getting to the net, Joe, and making sure they create traffic and look for deflections.
We just showed you the injury story for Carolina. On the Washington side of the equation, James Black is missing his 8th straight game with that broken leg. And Jeff Halpern's first miss of the season comes today. Back spasms bothering the rookie. Manderville back behind the cage with McKenzie. McKenzie drops it off for Sacco, looking for some help. Pratt forcing away Nicolishin. Sean Hill will get it back out to center, and now Washington will take its turn with Joe Ricci marching ahead. Drops it back behind Urbe as the Caps complete a line change. Hill slugs it along for Jelena. Francis, rink wide to O'Neill. Trying to dart away from Adam Oates' check. Didn't do it. Paul Coffey, ever graceful, powerful skater back there. Creating a 2-on-2. O'Neill working with Jelena. And O'Neill did not handle that well in transition. We get the hand pass spotted by the referee Maruelli. It gives us a chance to break away from Raleigh. Adam Oates and the Caps finding themselves down by 1.
We've just made it easier to separate yourself from the crowd with a new Dodge Caravan, the most innovative, most imitated, most trusted minivan on the road today. Now, Caravan features low 0.9% financing for up to 60 months that could save you over $4,600. In a perfect world, everything would be different. Until then, see the friendly Dodge dealer near you during our President's Week event.
Hiya, Joan. Looks like snow.
Really?
People think the snowiest U.S. city is in Alaska. Like many people think Mercedes-Benz are not ideal for winter driving. But the C230 compressor with standard traction control is great for all types of weather. In Chicago, Denver, Boston, or Rochester, the actual snowiest large city in the U.S.
I need you to find these people now.
Okay, boys. Release the hounds.
Someone's been here.
Searching for someone at your car insurance company after dark? At Geico Direct, we're here 24 hours a day. In fact, one 15-minute call could save you 15% or more on car insurance.
Ready for the live play to resume today on HTS. Carolina enjoying a 1-0 advantage over their guests from Washington, D.C. on this President's Day. Ron Francis, 18th of the year from Coffey and O'Neill at 7:43. Just less than 5 minutes to go in period 1. Francis loosens himself up from Chris Simon and turns it over. Oates in the backhand, just shifted it wide, looking for NHL goal number 300.
And that's the 4th time the Canes have turned the puck over, Joe, right in the center of their slot. They're trying to make rink-wide passes against the Caps. That should have cost them there. Oates unable to finish.
Brendan Witt giving Jelena a rude run to the end glass. Halko fencing with Simon. Back out to center she comes, where Coffey will fan on his dumping. Adam Oates and Paul Coffey, both from the same town in Ontario, Weston, Ontario. Could have been some pretty good youth hockey teams then, huh?
Shinny hockey would have been fabulous. How about that? Those two guys playing against you in Shinny run and gun style.
Kron sits into the attack. Kron on the wrister, spoiled by Witt. Loose in front of Kolzig for a moment, and Sergei Gonchar will send out Richard Zednik right in stride. Zednik powering through Malik, and a diving back check by Kovalenko. Delayed penalty coming up against Carolina, And Washington will go a man to the good right here.
And Malik's going to get his second minor penalty. Speed a factor when you're going against the Carolina defenseman. Marek Malik, no chance against Richard Zednik when he brings it inside, outside. He grabs Zednik's shoulder with a handful of jersey. The Caps with a good opportunity. I talked about the Carolina Hurricanes, Joe, trying to go rink wide, and it just about cost them. There, Francis throws it, looking rink wide to Jelena, picked off by Otzi, looking for number 300, just sifts it wide to the left post. And the penalty, here's the speed, left side of the screen. Here's that left arm coming up, grabbing onto Richard Zednik. Speed and strength a factor there for 44.
And I think the neutral zone pass that sprung Zednik was the key there for Washington. The pass was right in stride for the speedy winger to dart down the flank. So it is Marek Malik gone for holding. Caps second power play advantage. Washington has the power play goals in 3 of its last 5 outings. A single shot on the first misfired power play today. Hill and Pratt in back as Washington will maneuver with Bulis to the point position to Gonchar. Jan Bulis. Goal line, Dahlin. Bulis, who has been known to take that slap shot from that spot, feeds Dahlin, skip it to the slot, intended for Zednik, knocked aside by Brind'Amour. Does Brind'Amour clear? He does, but he leaves the playing surface to do it.
Good opportunity there for the Washington Capitals, but nice work by the penalty-killing unit once again for this Carolina Hurricanes team, Joe. They really pressed you all over the ice. Here's a nice look in our Timebridge Technologies top shot. There's the breakup by the D. Zednik gets a whack at it as they try to saucer it through the middle there. They try to flip it, Joe. What they're doing is they're really overloading in front. They're sending down Dmitry Mironov on the far side, Jeff Halpern, when he's healthy, they send him off the far post, and they really only have one point man looking to get that shot through a maze of players.
Washington has 80 seconds with which to work on this power play. Late in the first period, trailing Carolina by 1. Mironov knocked it off the ledge of the dasher, and then the Canes will deliver it back to center. Gonchar, he and Adam Oates leading this team with 5 power play goals apiece. Tommy Westland on it for the Hurricanes, and back down into Ole Kozig's neighborhood. Gonchar, Oates, Yates, along with Mironov and Simon. The 5-man unit for Caps head coach Ron Wilson. Dmitry Mironov plays the wing. Chris Simon sent in, hit Terry Yake right in the fanny, and that will be an easy clear for Carolina. They'll get Marek Malik back in 35 seconds. Terry Yake got points in back-to-back games. Yake softly to the corner. Konowalchuk up in arms with Sean Hill. Hill working over Konowalchuk on the end boards. Peter Bondra steps free from the corner. On the angle, his wrist shot was deflected, and Hill may have gotten a piece of that. Johansson back behind the goal once more. Yake chasing after Ranheim. The carom comes to Kron. Ranheim strips it from his teammate and plays it clear.
And that's where speed's a factor. Ranheim, a very fluid skater, Joe. He's able to get that puck and clear it out of the zone on his backhand.
Speaking of speed, Murphy barreling wide. Backhands one right through the goal mouth. Bondra backpedaling away from the cage. Content to play the corner. Konowalchuk wiping out there in his battle with the Hill as the Hurricanes are back to full and even strength. Down low, Konowalchuk misfired on a spinning backhand. Jeff O'Neill stood up there. A sturdy hit delivered to O'Neill from Ken Klee. Marek Malik watches it pop loose for Sean Hill. Hill will play the puck himself to center and just opened the blade and lost it back into the Washington zone. A shade over a minute to go in this first period. Carolina still in the driver's seat by 1. Coffey taps it to center. O'Neill revolving with Jelena. Jelena puts on a burst and a backhand stopped by Kolzig. Jelena reloads for Francis, and that shot didn't get through. Alco from the point position. That one got to the net, and Kolzig will turn it away with a goal stick. Under a minute to go in this first period. Carolina threatening again. Coffey blocked off by Sacco, and the ricochet will come back into the Hurricane zone. An ice level look at Coffey. In complete control of the situation, he'll deal it back to center. Gonchar. Nikolitin and down. 32 seconds to go in the first. Washington a slim leader in the shots on goal advantage, but trailing thanks to the Francis tally for Carolina. Zednik looking to strike late in the period with Bulis on the overlap. Boulis back for Zednik. He was spilled in front. Referees say play on. Zednik working the cycle with Boulis. 9 seconds in the period. A centering feed gobbled up by Pratt. He'll walk it back to center and hand it right to Sergei Gonchuk. As we will hear the siren sound at the Raleigh Entertainment and Sports Arena. After 20 minutes this afternoon on HDS, your score. The Hurricanes at Carolina and Ron Francis won, and the Washington Capitals nothing. 7:43, the time of the tally. Francis upset there, but not upset when he scored at 7:43. His 18th of the season from Coffey and O'Neill as the Caps outshoot the Canes 8-7 in the opening period today. Washington concluding a 3-game road swing. They are back at home for another major showdown in the Southeast Division on Wednesday. MCI Center will be the venue, 7 o'clock the time of the Florida Panthers. Fans, we also remind you not to miss a memorable evening with the Caps when they honored their former captain and longtime teammate Dale Hunter. Mark your calendars for March 11th. The New Jersey Devils will be in town, and the Caps are holding a special ceremony to thank Dale for his many contributions over 12 years with the club. Make plans to join us for a tribute to Dale Hunter by calling 202-432-SEAT. In Carolina today, it'll have to be another comeback performance for Washington as they trail the Canes 1-0 after 1. Carolina, coming into today's matchup, 2 games under the 500 mark and 10 points behind Washington. Here's the first intermissions activities to start things. Craig Laughlin.
Thanks, Joe Beninati. Downstairs, Terry Aiken. First of all, Terry, that first period, it looked like you guys had ample opportunities. You guys just couldn't finish.
Yeah, well, we know Herbe's a good goalie, and it's going to be tough to score on him. We have to try and get some traffic in front of him. He's not the biggest guy in the world, but he's awful quick and he's awful agile in there, so we have to get some guys in front of him to try and screen him so he can't see the shots.
Now, you're playing pivot the last couple of games, showing a lot of spunk up front. How is it changing from wing? You're a very versatile forward. Any change for you?
Well, I think, the system's obviously geared around the centerman being high and being a little more responsible. So for me, it's a little more responsibility defensively. I got to stay back a little more, but I feel like I'm getting the puck a little more, and hopefully I can help create a few more opportunities because of it.
Well, it's great seeing you back in the lineup. Thank you for joining us this afternoon, Terry.
Thanks a lot.
All right, Terry Ake joining us after 1. We'll take a look at the highlights around the corner on HDS. I hope you're enjoying this matinee. 1-0 Canes.